Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collingwood for YouTube, and I'm here to do a Dark Shadows video for you guys tonight. This is a character retrospective of Timothy Eliot Stokes. You know, there are some characters in Dark Shadows that you just gotta see to believe, and that would be Timothy Eliot Stokes. And some people might say, well, is he a werewolf? What is it? No. He's not supernatural. This is not a vampire. This is not a werewolf. This is not a ghost. So you might say, well, why do you have to see to believe him? Quite simply, in Dark Shadows, there were a lot of characters, especially even from the beginning, that would just put up with nonsensical things. I mean, just put up with it. Even to a degree, Dr. Guthrie, he'd ask for things, but he would not demand them until he felt he had to. But with this character, you get this is a character who literally, if you ask for his help, he's not just going to be like, "Oh, sure, but you don't owe me any answers." Oh, no, you owe me some goddamn answers. He literally comes in, not just opening the door. He comes in kicking in the goddamn door and demanding answers. He's not somebody to be trifled with, really. Not because he's a threatening menace, no, but because he doesn't tolerate nonsense. And what I mean by this is, really, there are many great examples of this. Barnabas Collins asked for a medallion that Stokes has that protects from witchcraft. So keep in mind, Barnabas has asked for this, right? Stokes shows up at the old house and he goes, "Can you show me the medallion?" It's like, "Well, of course, Mr. Collins, I can show you the medallion as soon as you show me the witch." And I'm just like, the way he says this is just so shocking. And I'm just like, even today, like, look, I've gone through the coffin box a bunch of times, okay? By now, I know this line's coming. And even when it comes, I'm still just like perplexed by this. Because it's just not something you hear someone say. This is not something somebody would just say to another person where they ask for something. Most people would just be like, "Oh, sure, here, take it. No big deal, right?" But no, Stokes is saying to him, "Well, you're asking for a medallion." When you think about it, you sort of get why Stokes is doing this. Stokes is literally saying to him, "Oh, okay, you want this medallion that protects not just from witchcraft, but quite literally a witch. So where's the witch? I mean, that's what it's for." And Stokes knows it. Stokes is a professor. He knows what that medallion's for. It gives the old adage, knowledge is power. And this man has a lot of knowledge, and he uses it. This is not a character who's stupid or dumbfounded or just gonna, you know, many women look the other way with Barnes because simply he's just an attractive man at times. This is not the case. Stokes isn't just going to look away because of Barnabas's looks or his charm or his personality or even his temper. Because Stokes has a temper of his own. This is somebody who's going to say, "Okay, you asked me for something. Why are you asking for it? What do you need it for?" I know what this is for, but why do you want it? You don't just want it to look at it, is what Stokes is saying. You don't just want it to play hopscotch here. This is not something you put on the table at a poker game and say, I'm all in. No. No. You want it for a very specific reason, and most likely you want it for the reason that it's intended for. And that's what Stokes is really saying to him. Like, okay, so you're dealing with a witch. Okay, who's the witch? I mean, in a sense, that's what Stokes is almost asking him without actually asking him it. And I love it. I fucking love it. This here is just another reason I love Dark Shadows. Stokes is just so on that it's crazy. And again, there are a lot of things asked of Stokes. But again, I've talked about when he's asked something, you best believe he asks questions of his own. And he will ask them. This isn't someone who's not going to ask questions. This is somebody who will ask questions and demand answers of asking them. Give a great example, too. Stokes is asked to conduct a seance. Okay. Carolyn. Chris Jennings. Stokes. I forget who else is there. There's a couple other people. I think there's 2 other people. All take place in the sense. Stokes is conducting it. Stokes is sort of the proprietor. And Stokes is one of the best proprietors you could have, really. Okay? He teaches about supernatural and the occult and all that shit. That's what he's a professor of. Now, Chris Jennings he interrupts the seance. He sort of stops it as Carolyn is mentioning a magnet. And Chris knows the name, you could tell. And when Chris Jennings stops this seance, interrupts it, completely interrupts it, Stokes gets up, sort of gets in his face and goes, I'm curious as to why you did that, Mr. Jennings. And I'm like, oh, shit. You want to just talk. Look, there was never a character who was so in your face about the supernatural prior to Stokes on Dark Shadows. Not like this. People might say Trask, but not even to this degree. Because Trask was more about religion than the actual supernatural. He was more about one specific entity, the devil. Okay? This, on the other hand, was something completely different. This character had no problem that if he felt that you crossed, that if he saw or felt like you did something you shouldn't have, he's gonna let you know. Stokes is literally the perfect person to call if you have a supernatural problem. No, not the Ghostbusters. Stokes. Because Stokes isn't going to put up with shit. You got a secret? Okay. You called me. I'm here. What do you want? And it's very interesting. Because Stokes is somebody literally who's telling you, hey, yeah, you can trust me. And here's the thing. you have people around Stokes who are so used to not trusting other people that they just, that's how they treat him. And they're not treating him like that because, you know, he's not trustworthy. They're treating him like this because they treat everyone else like this. I think the one person I wish sort of Stokes would have took under his wing would have been Victoria Winters. And I still feel this is something they could play to in the new series. Maybe Vicky eventually did go to Stokes and learn about the supernatural. Maybe when she left Collinsport, and yes, Victoria Winters is still alive. Maybe when she left Collinsport, she went to Stokes and learned about the supernatural. Who knows? There's an endless world of possibilities to see what could happen here. But if you have a supernatural occurrence, look, I love Carl Kolchak, but you can have your Carl Kolchak, you can have your Dr. Julia Hoffmans, you can have your Dr. Peter Guffreys. But if there's one person I'm phoning up if I have a supernatural problem, you best believe that call would go to one Timothy Eliot Stokes. The only difference is I wouldn't play cat and mouse with it. Because this is not a character you play cat and mouse with, and he'll let you know that. I mean, seriously, if you're calling, think about this too. If you're calling a person for a supernatural reason, isn't it obvious they're gonna ask you about what happened, why you calling? Is there an underlying reason for you calling other than the supernatural? Did you do something to the supernatural? Did you mess with the supernatural? Did you hold a seance? These are questions Stokes are going to ask and so much more. I mean, when Stokes is finally told the truth, he even says, I have suspected this. He said he suspected something, but he was, So Stokes suspected all along there was supernatural involvement around Barnabas. And again, it goes back to that little medallion that Barnabas asked for. Okay, you want a medallion to protect you from a witch? Where's the witch? Like, come on. Stokes is a hell of a character concept. I mean, he really is. People might not think so, but I would definitely say, he's one of my top 5 characters. Hell, male protagonist, he would be he's definitely top 3, but one of the best characters ever in Dark Shadows is Timothy Eliot Stokes. I really hope they pay great tribute to this character, or maybe somehow, do something sort of bold with this character in the new series. I am so excited, guys. But I want to thank you guys for your time. I got one more video to do tonight. So thank you. You guys have a great night.